Despite the enormity of the destruction brought by the 7-year conflict on Yemen, it's referred to as the Forgotten War, as one year bleeds into another. The biggest tragedy in recent time remains with no end in sight. The following report has more details.
Years of brutal conflict have brought misery to an already impoverished Yemen. There is no end in sight. By the end of 2021, the United Nations warned recently that 300,000 Yemeni will have died from 7 devastating years of war, in many cases killed by indirect causes such as hunger, and in others by airstrikes or missile bombardments. 70% of fatalities are thought to be children under 5. As 2021 began, there were hopes that Joe Biden's arrival in the White House might bring progress towards peace. His administration quickly announced it was ending all support for offensive operations by the coalition. It also revoked the Trump administration's designation of the Houthi rebels as a terrorist group. But Biden's team seemed to have overestimated its ability to help resolve the crisis. The diplomatic push soon faltered. Meanwhile, a humanitarian catastrophe that the UN has described as the worst in the world is deepening. Just before Christmas, the World Food Programme said that it'd been forced to cut aid due to insufficient funds 3 months after it warned that 16 million Yemenis were marching towards starvation. The UN Special Envoy Hans Granberg warns that the recent escalation is among the worst in the conflict. Houthi rebels have intensified the offensive on Ma'rib, the last major stronghold of the government that they ousted. Coalition airstrikes on the airport at the capital Sana'a, held by Houthi rebels, halted aid flights this month, although rebels now say they can resume on a temporary basis. With borders and airspace sealed, the world has largely been able to ignore the war's impact on Yemen civilians. But the conflict must not be allowed to slip down the agenda again. Its grim and entrenched nature is not cause to give up on diplomacy, but all the more reason to renew the determined efforts required if Yemenis are to have a real future.